Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. So where should you buy Bitcoin? Like for example here at the bottom there was a good point at around $3,000 approximately back in 2019, or maybe during the COVID dump you had to sell your entire house for example and invest in Bitcoin, right? So yeah, now it's all history and it's very easy to say where to buy. But the most important question is what will happen next to Bitcoin. And in this video, we will talk about the fact that Bitcoin is currently one of the most, or maybe even the most reliable assets that exist in general in the world, and there is simply no alternative yet. And in the long run, if you sell Bitcoin, then you most likely lose. So the video should be interesting. Hit a like in advance, subscribe, get a cup of tea, and let's get started. So let's start with the Google Trends, and we will see that interest to Bitcoin is at the very bottom at the moment, and historically it just so happened that those people who bought Bitcoin when there was almost no interest in it, they made good money at a distance. I honestly started this YouTube channel recently and I will still share with you all my successes and failures, but I collected Bitcoin throughout all 2022 little by little, and yeah, it was slightly scary. Yeah, I was constantly looking for information on how to invest and invest correctly, but in the end I survived all the negative news and continued to buy it, and right now I'm in a pretty good profit and keep accumulating it. I'm not talking about having plenty of Bitcoins, no. I started to be interested in this industry right after the last bull run, unfortunately. And honestly, no one knows where Bitcoin will go in an hour. You can guess, like build various graphs, but in this video I want to talk about a more global picture. In the entire history of Bitcoin, which is about 14 years or so, I haven't seen a single person who would have sold Bitcoin a couple of years ago and didn't regret about it. It's a fact. And here is just one example for you. In 2015, a person sold his 800 Bitcoins to buy a house for his family, right? And you can see that in 2018, he sold his house and bought back already 50 Bitcoins. He sold 800 and bought back 50 after 3 years. And he says that people who think I'm crazy for selling my house, please know that my only regret is to have sold my Bitcoins. So, and this is the key idea, guys, here. In the same way, a huge number of people sell Bitcoins daily and get in some dollar profit. Yes, indeed, profits must be taken. I'm not saying that you should never sell, but you may have such part of Bitcoin or any other currency that you believe in your portfolio that you really will keep and never sell. Because at a distance, if we take a certain period of time, for example, a couple of years or even 10 years or even more, those who try to speculate simply lose their accumulated Bitcoins. So I will try to explain to you guys in simple words what I mean real quick. So let's take a time frame, say 14 years approximately, and let's imagine that in 2010 you bought your first 100 Bitcoins approximately, right? Then here we have 2015. So at that year you managed to buy another, I don't know, 20 for example. And in 2020, which is going to be right here, you managed to buy another 1 Bitcoin. So you see the tendency, right? Ideally, you're supposed to have by now 121 Bitcoin, but all of that happens only in ideal world. When we were in 2010, we didn't know that Bitcoin will hit $69,000 at that time if we just waited for 10 years. Only the most believers, only those who really studied Bitcoin and believed in it and managed to find a way to buy it and to understand how everything works, they were able to buy it at a very low prices, from $1 maybe to $100 approximately. And what I understood over these years, that in order to become really successful in cryptocurrency market, everything you had to do is to buy at a very early stage when nobody knew about Bitcoin. You had to figure out how to do it. You just simply had to invest like $1,000 when it costed $1, maybe 5, 10, doesn't even matter anymore. These are not life-changing money for you. We all have jobs. We all have some sources of income, and $1,000 we were able to invest in Bitcoin, even if we didn't know what is that at that time. And everything we had to do after that is to simply wait. Nowadays we call it HODL. The most success you can get if you just simply HODL Bitcoin, and the less movements you make, the better for you. Imagine that you and I need to change something. For example, I have tomatoes and you've got apples, and it doesn't always happen that someone needs your apples or tomatoes, right? So this is why money were invented for exchanges. And at first they were provided with something like gold, but now they're not provided with anything except promises as much. As means of exchange, they are very convenient, and some people, by some inertia, still try to save hard earned money for their future or for some unforeseen events or for their children, for example. But in 10 years from now on, the same goods and services will naturally cost more. Imagine what can happen to a currency in 10 years. In the same African countries, purchasing power is declining extremely. But even if we look at the strongest fiat currency in the history of the 20th and 21st centuries, the United States dollar, then its purchasing power is also declining over time. Simply anything you could buy 5 years ago for $1,000, today you will need at least 1,500. So where would you keep the money then, right? We can take real estate as an example, right? A great option, but real estate has its own drawbacks, of course. And the first one is that it's not portable. You buy a house or apartments in some place, and anything can happen in this place. I mean, you cannot take it with you, travel to another country, or do something with it. It will always remain in the same spot. Second thing, it's illiquid. The moment when you need to sell it quickly, for example, you will most likely not be able to do it. I'm not saying that it's not possible or something like that, but it will take some time. Commissions, most likely you will not be able to sell yourself. You will need an agency. You also need to pay them a certain amount, perhaps even taxes. You can sell right away, definitely, if you urgently need money, but it will be definitely very cheap. And the third option, you need to take care of real estate. You need to insure it because anything can happen in this place. There are no guarantees. As an example, we can take a Tesla factory that got burned down recently. So it would seem like a reliable savings options, but how many disadvantages does this option have, right? So yeah, there are of course advantages and there are many of them, but the entry threshold is also very important. Like you need a significant amount in order to purchase some property, and even if you were able to purchase, you will have such a number of minuses, right? Everything I've said is applicable when we're talking about saving money right now, guys. And what other options are there? You may say gold. Yeah, when we talk about physical gold, there are also certain disadvantages. First one, high commission when buying and selling. Secondly, the complexity of storage. In my opinion, when you have earned some amount of money throughout several years, like wonderful. But then you buy this golden bar, and where are you going to put it? You can put it in your apartments, you'd say, but there are also certain risks regarding apartments, which we have already discussed previously. Also, in a world where mobility is absolutely necessary part, and even if you manage to accumulate, for example, $50,000 in gold, I think plus minus it will be somewhere around 1 kg. Not sure, to be honest. Then how you can move somewhere with this kg of gold, for example, to another country? It's pretty much impossible, and I personally haven't seen people in the airports with golden bars traveling here and there. It can be kept in the bank, yes, but you can see for yourself what happens with the banks nowadays. Even if we're talking about the world's top economy like United States, what happened there this year? Yeah, some banks simply burst and said we have no money. And all these huge institutions are now interested in having maximum control over your funds. If you say something wrong, somehow think wrong, now CBDC will gradually be introduced, and in this case, all your funds can be simply frozen. And when a person thinks about just saving money, then here is the most important question appears. Why did the cryptocurrency appear? For example, PayPal is launching its own stablecoin, but this is same scam as using banks. Yeah, it may be convenient for new users to enter cryptocurrency market, but this is not suitable for savings at all, because this PayPal, with the click of a button, will be able to freeze all your funds, just like existing USDT and USDC may do. So that's why cryptocurrency appeared, and that's why we see such a popularity, especially in developing countries. Like, firstly, people get access to the global financial system with the help of crypto. You understand that in order for you to make some kind of payment, you do not need the intermediaries. You just need a phone, and this can be done through P2P directly, without any intermediaries. There is an exchange between people, and that's what cryptocurrency is. And Bitcoin, of course, in this case, can be ideally suited as a store of value because it doesn't have these drawbacks which real estate and gold do. You can press a button right now and send your funds to another part of the world in a matter of seconds. You can immediately keep your seed phrase in your head. It is necessary, of course, not to forget it, but at least no one will take it away from you. And this is maximum security, guys. And the most important thing is that the number of bitcoins is only 21 million, and there will be no more. No one will come and print more of them, and all this is protected by what? It's protected by mathematics and computing powers, those people who are engaged in mining. Of course, they do it for a reason. They have a material interest, first of all, but the fact that they mine and use computing powers and they receive bitcoins, and this is the best way to save your value. And yes, you can say about some other cryptocurrencies that you can save, for example, in ADA Cardano or Ripple XRP or Ethereum. But to be honest, each of these cryptocurrencies has founders, and you never know what comes to their mind. And the further time goes, the less and less bitcoins will be available for ordinary people. Bitcoin is not a salvation, definitely. This is just one of the options which so far has more advantages than all other traditional savings options. And the most interesting thing here is that at some point there will be an intersection in which demand will increase so much that we cannot even imagine. And in my understanding, we have best prices for buying Bitcoin like end of 22, whole 2023, maybe beginning of 24. We may still see a little fall where I will definitely buy more. But after that, closer to the halving in 2024, the ice will probably break. And if we look at the history, we have never returned to the previous bottom values after that. So everything I've said today, guys, is not a financial recommendation. These are just my thoughts about the whole cryptocurrencies and in general. Always make your own decisions, study the information, and if you like the video and it was useful for you, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel. It will help me to boost it, and I'll see you in the next videos.